Local coronavirus restrictions for around 1 million people in England will come to an end next week as Bolton, Stockport, Trafford, Burnley, among other places, fall back into line with the rest of the country. But there are 14 areas, including parts of Greater Manchester, where restrictions will remain in place. Our health correspondent Dominic Hughes has that story.
Since late July, Stockport has been one of the Greater Manchester boroughs living with extra lockdown measures, including restrictions on home visits and socialising. For salon owner Jodie, that also meant a ban on an important source of business.
It's been really tough for us because our main income is from facials and eyebrows. So we kind of feel like we've been cut off at the knees. We've been told we can open and we can do treatments, but the treatments that are most profitable for us are your eyebrows and your facials.
And if the restrictions are lifted, what does the future look like?
Oh, it will be so much brighter.
Getting back to normality.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So there will be some relief here in Stockport and in Bolton as well that these extra lockdown measures are going to be removed. But some confusion too, because those measures were introduced with just a few hours' notice, and yet they're not being eased until the middle of next week, well after the August bank holiday weekend. Public Health England produces a weekly watch list of council areas, seen here in darker red, mapping spikes in the disease. So some areas like Blackburn, Oldham, Pendle, Leicester and parts of West Yorkshire remain under tougher lockdown rules. There are worries about rises in infections in Birmingham, Swindon and Stoke. While most of Greater Manchester remains under stricter measures, 3 boroughs are exiting those tougher restrictions, as well as parts of Lancashire and West Yorkshire. The government hopes that local councils and MPs can work together to reach a consensus on how to deal with lockdown measures. But in Trafford, in Greater Manchester, councillors feel they haven't been listened to.
It's clearly the case here that we've been overruled. Nobody's had the courtesy to explain to us the reasons why. Actually, in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't matter. This is about what's best for our residents. And I really feel that we could have done with seeing these in for another week or two.
A reliable vaccine remains the key to lifting restrictions across the country. Even as clinical trials are underway, plans have been announced for the training up of what's described as an army of health professionals to deliver it, including pharmacists, midwives and physiotherapists, perhaps also dentists and vets. And a reminder of why a vaccine is so important. Figures released today show that a recent rise in new infections seems to be levelling off but is not yet falling. The decline in infections in Stockport shows that locally targeted measures can make a difference. Until a vaccine is available, that's likely to be the main weapon in keeping the lid on COVID-19. Dominic Hughes, BBC News, Stockport.